welcome back to Copperhead Customs, and today we are back on this, our Chrysler 300C wagon with the 5.7 HEMI in it. And today, this is part 2 of Can We Save What the Crash Shop Stuffed Up? So, stick around to see if we can pull it off. Yes, as I said, welcome back, and this, as we said, is our Chrysler 300C wagon that we bought from auction and then fixed in a previous episode. When you finish this, maybe go and have a look. If you're new and don't know what's going on, we put this into a crash shop for a tiny little repair that was meant to take 3 days, which they had for a month, and totally destroyed my car. So we're in the process of trying to fix it. We have spent 5 hours on the roof and pretty much probably got the roof to a half decent standard. Probably still not quite at the standard that I like. But to recap what we have to do, we have to repaint this guard, which should have never been touched, but for some reason it was painted, but it's full of horrid orange peel, and as you can see, it has the wrong color. We have to do the same to the bonnet. The bonnet was repainted. Again, we don't actually know why the bonnet was repainted, but for some reason it was. It has horrendous amounts of orange peel in it, and like I said, is the wrong color. So whether we can save these, we don't know as yet. It's all going to depend on the color matching, but they may have to all be repainted, and we may have to paint on that door as well. We've then got the front bumper, which is covered in overspray, bad orange peel, and as you can see, it's another colour again, which had the 20th little repair done under there, which is actually a horrid job as well. And for some reason, the whole thing was painted again. And if we come around here, this is what the car actually went in for, which was not all of this. It was this tiny little thing here that you could hardly even see. We'll put some pictures up in a second of the car before it went into the crash shop and this little bit of damage, so you can all have a laugh at my expense. And this is where we're at with this. This has been painted about 4 times now, and you can see, I think he learns off bad Chad the way that he did the door gaps. And this is the front guard, which was half down to bare metal. All reactions happening. So with this, we definitely have to do something with. We're at the verge of nearly doing what we could have done at the start, which was buy new panels. But anyway, the process is, we should have fixed it ourselves, but no, we sent it into a crash shop for them to do this 3-day job. Like I said, they had it for a month. This is the state of it. Absolutely devastated. But we went through all that a lot more in depth in part 1, and we also did the roof. So if we come and look at the roof now, I spent 5 hours colour sanding and polishing the roof, trying to get some of their orange peel out. Now the light probably won't show you, but it has still got quite a bit of orange peel in it, but it is much better. It's probably still got more peel than what I get off the gun, and I am the unprofessional. Remember, I'm the backyarder. This went to a professional crash shop. So in this episode, the plan is we somehow have to do more body work on this. I think the guard's going to have to go back to bare metal and be re-primed. We have to do some more filler and prime work on here, flatten out all the horrendous orange peel on this door. So that is a start. We've also got some paint that we've had mixed that we have to do some little test pieces around the place, which we'll probably do first to see how our color match is, or whether we need to tweak the formula a bit more. So that's because that's what people that know what they're doing do. So that will be the first thing we're going to do. Then, like I said, we'll body work this, take this back to bare metal, reprime all this, and get these 2 panels perfect, ready for paint. The front bumper is going to come off. It has to be fully torn down, which the professional shop didn't do, hence the 15 kilometers of overspray over every part. We've even got black plastic parts down there that have been painted white. So we're going to have to address all of that. So we're going to completely tear the bumper down, and then we will look at whether we think, as you can see the colours out by miles, what we're going to do with that. We'll probably end up repainting it. These little eye headlight covers, the same, have issues. We're going to have to do some body work on them and repaint them. And when we've done all of that, we'll then look at our bonnet and guard over here, which, like I'll say again, I still don't even know why these were painted, and we will see what we can rectify with these, or whether these two are going to get painted as well. Now, if these get painted, we will then probably paint onto this door and do a blend, the same onto that back door and do a blend. So that's like more than 3/4 of the car for something that was this big. So once we've done all of that, we then got to go through the whole thing and remove all the overspray and all the dodginess that's everywhere, which, like I've said, part one, you'll see all of this stuff. We then got to go through and rebuild all the interior, because the interior is all torn to pieces, the tailgate, the doors, etc. Fingers crossed we can pull all that off up to a decent standard. Then we will have to detail it again, because the car was detailed, remember? And once that's all done, hopefully we pull it off, we can then put this car up for sale, which it should have been already sold. Now, the whole reason this car went to the crash shop was because I got it valued and it was worth a lot more than I expected. It was worth $25,000. I thought it was worth about 14. So I went, I'll send this one in to the crash shop and let the professionals do the little tiny repair that happened at the auction by the forklift driver, and I won't do it, and I'll farm a bit of work out, and because there's so much meat on the bone in the profit margin, and we'll look immaculate, and it will be like no one will ever know that it's ever been messed with. And instead we got this disaster back that I am now going to spend probably the next 2 weeks trying to pull it off. So it's taken me 3 weeks to even start the work because I've been so upset. So with all of that said, you can stop laughing now. You can now sit back, relax, sit down and see if I can pull this off and make it beautiful once again. Beautiful. Okay, like I just said, that in the first video on this, we actually color sanded the roof. Now we did it with some 1000 and 1500 on the orbital, and then we polished it. So we got a lot of the roughness out, and I thought it was okay. Under here I could still see it. I showed you outside, it looked pretty good. I've since given it, when I brought it back in, I just wasn't quite happy with it, and I've gone over it with the 1000 on the orbital once, and it's improving. As you can see, it's flat as now. You can probably see that. Like there's no shiny spots as in peel rough, but you probably can't see. It's still got this little riffle. Now admittedly I haven't repolished yet. What happens is the reflections, the crispness of the reflections are not as sharp because it's got this little, it's sort of like, it still looks a bit orange peel, but it's kind of, yeah, I don't know, it's hard to say. So I'm going to go over it again now with the 1500 on the orbital. Then I'm going to give it 2000 by hand with the block and just see if we can get a bit more of this out. Then we'll polish it. Now, this is a weird colour. Seriously, it's a weird colour. I don't know if the camera will pick this up as much, but they look different. I've said this before, they look different. Now we come up to here. So here's what I also did yesterday is just this corner here, I actually gave a bit of, not on the top there, but on this section here, probably here, I kind of did a bit of work on, and you can still see, you can see there, you can see there, see the peel, it's really bad through here. Well, we haven't done that. If we come over to here now, we've got the peel pretty good, and it's very hard for you guys to see. You just got to look for the shiny reflections and whatever, but I've got this pretty good peel wise now. It's nice and flat, and then I've polished this up, and it actually is passable, okay? Now, admittedly, but this isn't yet. We've still got to work all this, okay? But this little corner is passable. But you should be able to see our colour variation. And you can see our colour variation here to here. This looks a bit grayer. Okay, now I've actually polished this. You can really see that there, like, and that's what it looks like in real life. This looks more whitish. This looks grayer, okay? But back there, that was the opposite. And then we come to the front. This looks grayer than that. So it's kind of really messing with me a bit. I'm not really sure of what I'm going to do yet. I think at this stage we're going to work the guard and the bonnet. I'm going to work them all back and polish them. So I'm going to tear all of this off so I can do it all properly. I think we're going to pull the bumper off the car and get it out of the way. And I think I'm going to completely colour sand all this. You should be able to see. No, you're probably not getting, no, we can't get the proper lights in here at the moment, but you can see the reflections just like horridly. So you can see that's how much peel is in it. You can see there how much peel is in it. You can see there when I move it. See the little, see how the shadow? Now that's very flat, but it's still showing a bit. See now here, it's not. See how, see, it's nice and sharp. When we come through here, when I move, see here? It's not as sharp, is it? See, so that's still got peel through it. But it's not actually, not peel like it was. It's like a little ripple in it now. Now, I think that can happen because we're actually flat, but it's because the sponge pad is contouring to it all. So this is where we now need to block it to get to try to take those tops off with the sharp edge of the block. So I think we'll use the block with the harder side now and try to, and that's what I think the roof may need, a little bit of that. We'll see what happens. We're not quite sure. We are going to save the car, but we've got a lot of work to do.
We've got a lot of work to do.
So we might as well stop talking and start working. Okay, apologise for the compressor noise, but I just have to show you this quickly. I'm going to have to take this back to bare metal. I tried to use some 320 grit on and it just clogged the paper instantaneously. And if you look here, it just melted into the paint. Like, I've got no idea. So it was sort of like this, and then I went to go a bit more and it just did that, and it's just like, it's just melted it. So I've started here with some, it still needs more, with some 36 grit. I have to take this back, completely back to bare metal, this panel basically, and then we're going to have to start from scratch. So I think we'll strip this back on the car quickly, take it off, get the little edges finished off. I think we might throw a coat of primer on this and see, even throw some super etch primer on the bare metal, and then see if we get any more reactions, and then we're going to have to work from there. So let's see how we go. dokely dokely. So we're back. We've got 90%, maybe more, of the guard back to bare metal. I actually really like that. I'm so gonna do a car in bare metal one day and just clear it, maybe clear it with some pearl in the clear. Wouldn't that look magnificent? Just sanded finish, just like that. It looks so cool. Anyway, so we've still got a bit here to do, but we're getting too close to the edge, so I want to remove it. And a bit down the bottom. Now, I don't know if you could tell that stuff. There's something, I don't know what he used on this guard or what he did. This is the guard that had the reaction supposedly, but that was like it was nearly scrape it off. Like, it was horrid. We were using 36 grit on the sandpaper and it was clogging it. And we actually went to the little, I don't know what you call those things, but we went to them and it was clogging them up. I had to stop every now and then and cut the disc open, and so that was very painful. So we've still got some to do down here. Now he's got all his 27 different layers of filler, and there's still highs, and honestly, like, I don't know what I'm going to do here. I'm tempted to dig it all out and start from scratch nearly. I don't know, because some of this paint's atrocious that we've got to get off, and he looks like he's gone over the top of it, because that's what you do. Now, remembering the guard was just slightly pushed in, like ever so slightly. I don't even know why this really had to get anything done to it. It should have been able to just be pushed back out. I can understand a little bit of filler on here. I can understand this. But this, I don't understand. It was just slightly in, and it could have just been, I believe, I just would have pushed that out and probably not even disturbed the paint. We may have given a little blowout just to blend the colour. That would have been it. But we're going to take the guard off now so that we can get all of this edge, and I'll work out what I've got to do. And when it's off, I'll get rid of all this rubbish that he put in there. And then I'll do the same on the door. I'll get rid of all the rubbish that's in there. Get this all ready, and then we'll prime it. We'll put some super etch on the bare metal, then we'll prime the whole guard. We'll then put some guide coat on and give it a sand and see where it's actually at, what we need to do. Like, he had all bog all through here that I've actually removed, and that is actually perfect. So, like, you know what I mean? It was like, instead of doing it properly, it was just keep putting more and more on. Maybe that's because he was a moron. We'll probably paint this off the car, because we're going to have to get in and paint this back edge of this as well. So we'll probably just hang the guard up. We might even take the door off and hang the door on some stands as well when we get to that point. Here's, like, this is the stuff that, you know, yeah, it's nothing really, is it? But, you know, it's showing that the car's had repair work done. And it really, really, really detests me. Like, gets me so aggressive now. He's used cellies. He has that white stuff I was saying in the last video on the black strips that are on there. It looks like it is cellies, no more gaps. This is the cheapest silicone you can buy. By no more gaps, I mean it's not actually even silicone. It's stuff you put in your house to fill gaps. Say in your jib rock, or I don't know what you call drywall in America, in your cornice or whatever, when you've got these little cracks or whatever, you smear this. It's like a type of weird type of silicone, and that is what he has used, because that's the cheapest one you can buy. Instead of it being like $8 a tube for the cheapest silicone, Selly's No More Gaps is probably $3 a tube. So that's what he's used to try to hold that black stripe on, hence why it's got all this different stuff everywhere. And that's what he's used on our headlight covers, because obviously it's too hard to put some double-sided tape on. And then when you come in and look at these, this should actually show you the quality of work we're dealing with. Yep. You know, a blind man can see this, and there's more. And there's another one there. Oh, hey. You know, this is some quality freaking workmanship on that, eh? And this other one's the same. Don't think that one's that's the one and only. Obviously he mounted them on the car when the paint was still obviously atrociously wet, because for some reason the paint didn't dry. very well, because he probably painted it when it was 2 degrees for one. And then I think half the issue with all this orange peel is, one, he painted it when it was way too cold, but two, I think he kept throwing multiple coats on, not letting it tack off and dry off properly. So i.e. putting his next coat on too quick and then putting his next coat on too quick. And thirdly, I think he put like a quick dry hardener and a quick dry reducer in because it's cold, which, yes, you could do that, but I think that's what he's done. And a combination of those three things has led to this atrocious paint. Instead of painting it the next day, heating up the room, or just waiting for the sun to come out, instead of painting it at 6 o'clock at night when it's freezing cold, painting it during the day when it's warmed up would be, I don't know, to me that'd be smarter. And taking your time is in letting each coat tack off properly. You basically should be able to touch the car before you touch your next coat on. If you can't touch the car, you shouldn't be painting your next coat. So basically, between coats, theoretically, you could come up and sand gently. It'll be very soft, but you could actually get a little bit of trash out. You should be able to grab your tack cloth, you know, if this was a tack cloth, and wipe the car over without it disturbing anything. If you can't do that, you shouldn't be putting your next layer of paint on. So I think it's a combination of those three. But hey, I know we're doing a lot of whinging in this, but it's actually, so here we got more. Here's our quality bumper repair. So I'm not going to show you in there yet, but you can see this big woof. All right, the cracking was here. I'm going to show you some stuff in there in a minute. But here's a big woof. That's just because he's obviously had it sitting on the stands like a goober. Now in there, have a look at that. That's about half a tub of bog. It's here, it's about an inch thick. And I don't know, it looks like he may have plastic welded it underneath, perhaps, and then just threw this big, ugly slather of bog on, which is actually useless. It's absolutely useless to put that even on there, because I can grab this and just go boom, flex that and break that. Like, if you give me some strength, people. If you are going to put something in here to reinforce, okay, if you plastic weld your bumper and you are going to reinforce it, you reinforce it with fiberglass, not body filler. Come on, guys. Come on. And maybe, worst case, you would use at least like cat hair, you know, the fiberglass filler. But to do it properly, if you wanted to reinforce it, you reinforce it with fiberglass. You know, the little, you cut pieces out, put it in, paint. You know, you guys seen that? Hey, I don't really think that does fucking anything. You know, we got bog on our hoses because we were too lazy to pull the freaking bumper bar apart. So, like I said, we'll tear this down because everything's got overspray in it. All like this plastic here got painted for some reason, so that has to come out, and we have to work out what we're going to do with that. We're probably going to have to repaint it black. These two have overspray in them, so we have to get them off and see about getting the overspray off. And even if we were to use this grill, it's covered in overspray, so we need to get it off and clean it up. Then when this is off, we'll stick it in our stand. This is a proper bumper stand, if you're wondering what it was. We'll flip it over. We will then sand it all up, polish it, and see what we think. We'll basically sort of do this top section, make this top section look really, really nice. And then, you know, there's a little bit here, we'll give it a cut and polish, and we'll just have a look and see if we think we can save it. All right, see, like here more, you know, overspray. See it? You know, it's just shit, guys. Like, seriously, I don't understand it. You know how hard that is to take out? Like, he took the freaking thing off the car. Look, it's one nut, one little nut. Boom, it's out. You know? Do you know what I'm saying? It's actually quicker to take the fucking thing out than it is to mask it up. That's what. So what I don't understand, it's actually quicker to tear this down than it is to mask all this shit up. This is the stuff that really, this is why I'm a bit agitated, because this is why it doesn't make sense. And the boss said to me last night, the reason it's not making sense to you is because you're not a drug addict. So you cannot think like a drug addict thinks. Because I honestly think this bloke has to have been a drug addict, this company. This bloke had to have been a drug addict. Hence why I can't comprehend some of this crap that's happened, because I don't think like a tweaker. So I think that's half our issue, is we're not tweakers. So trying to think like tweakers, we got no hope, hey, have we? So, any rate, and see that? I said all of that with a fucking straight face. So, let's get this guard off, get some stands out for the guard, finish getting it to bare metal, and then we'll go from there. Okay, we are back, and I've just unbolted the guard, and it just doesn't cease to amaze me. But that's all overspray of primer on there. See what I'm saying? Like, for God's sake, put some paper down. But that's not what we're called in for. We're called in for this. This is the stuff that amazes me. So see this bolt, nicely painted bolt, okay? Which would be, you think, would be one of the ones up the top here, or one of the two that are in there? Wouldn't that be where your nicely painted bolts went? No, no, no. We've got these ones hidden in there, and we got these nice grey ones, and this one half painted grey one, different mind you, one's a star, one's a straight, one had a that's what we had on here. But we're going to put the painted ones in the places you can't see them. Yeah, so that's something else. So I just have to laugh about this. That's something else you will want to do if you do a repair, guys, is see the bolt head is all nice, yes, and painted, and the same on here, it's nicely painted. It's not all scratched up from your dodgy socket you've put on it. So that's something you might want to look at, is if you do something, if you do replace a guard, for argument's sake, is one, put the bolts in the right spot, but two, you may want to get a little bit of your paint on a brush and just touch up your bolt heads, because it is, for someone that knows what they're looking for, it is a sign straight away that the car's either been in an accident or has had something happen with the panel coming off and on, generally because it's been in an accident or it's had a repaint or something along those lines. So something that you may want to look at doing is touching up your bolt heads. So there's a little bit of advice for you. And what you probably shouldn't do is put the bolts that go under the car in the top of the car. So anyway, the guard's ready to come off now. Just got to pluck it off. I don't want to do it too, well, we might be able to do it one-handed. We'll see if we can do it. And I'd rather use two hands so we don't damage anything. My brain's just sort of struggling a bit with. We've got the white paint, then we've got green filler over the top of the white paint, and I don't know what's going on there, but we've got a high here anyway, so probably want to look at knocking that down. Then we've got, so this would be, these two colours are original, I think. Then we've got the green primer putty, and then the brownie one, but then it's been painted and it's got primer and paint over it, and then this, and maybe this level, I don't know, has been put over the top of all of that. So basically that's on top of that crap paint that's on it, that's like melting. So yeah, I think we'll take it all the way back we'll do some dolly work here and we'll knock that down because it's obviously a high. You can actually feel a high. I don't know what's going on in there, but yeah, that's what I think we'll do is we'll rip it all back to bare metal and start again. Hence why I'm pretty mad at myself for just not doing this job to start with. You know, we wouldn't have even had to do that originally. Like, I should have just done it myself, wouldn't I? I should have done it myself, got a bit of trash in the paint, and then colour sanded the paint. Instead, we're colour sanding a roof, a bonnet, a bumper, and a guard. And then we still may even repaint it at the end. And we're sanding this guard down to bare metal. And then we've got to look at that door. Yay, team! Oakley dokley. So yeah, we've got that fully down to bare metal, and if you see me with the hammer and dolly, there's a like a high here, a bit of a low there. So we were working on that a little bit. We got it pretty good. As you can see, that's there was all filler down here. Look at it, it's smooth as a baby's bum. So a lot of filler not needed in this. Hey, there was all filler through here. It's smooth as, not needed. Just got to adjust the gaps properly. Yeah. I have just some different fillers. I normally like Rage, the one that's called Rage, but I haven't been able to get it lately. I use this Evercoat one, and this is a new one I've tried. I don't know, it's okay, but the Rage, I don't know, I think I've got some still kicking around. I really like that one. That was really, really nice. Nice and smooth. But so what I've been doing is just putting a little bit of the fiberglass resin, just putting a little bit of the resin in, just a little tiny bit in. It makes it real nice and smooth and flow out really nice. But yeah, we had some, you can see it there, we've got some bits of crap in it. I think it's off my mixing board, so we're going to probably have to sand 90% of that out and give it another little quick skim. But that's the minutest little skim now on there. We've gone out here because there was just a couple of hammer marks in. A lot of this will get sanded off. There's bog, seriously, there was bog from here all the way up there, in here, all around this, half of this was covered, and all the way up the top. Like, not needed at all. Learn how to adjust your gaps. Do some hammer and dolly work. Man, how hard. We'll finish that. It's very late. It's pitch black now. Got to take my little mate who's been sick, and we've had him in the vet this morning. But he's feeling a bit better now. There he is. He's got a smile on his face again. But it's time for him to go in and have his dinner. So, and for me to have mine. So, with all of that, I will see you guys tomorrow. We're starting to make some progress. Starting to make some progress. Oakley dokley, it's the next afternoon, because today we took the DeSoto out for a drive because I couldn't be bothered, and some arsewipe, I seen them do it, hit their freaking door into the car, and I told them what I thought. Luckily it didn't scratch the car. And then so we actually went out to get some more sandpapers and stuff, and then when that happened, I said, let's go for a bigger drive. So yes, anyway, it's the afternoon now, and we are on here. We've sanded down our bog, our filler, and you can sort of see where it is, where it's sanded down to. This has just been given some super etch primer, and I haven't actually painted on there much, but obviously it's super etch primer. It's for the bare metal. So that's been given like one really light coat and then one like another light coat. So it's fully covered, and we have no fry-ups as well, from what I can see. Now there's probably still some marks in here we may have to address. You can see there some little scratches and stuff, but we'll see how we go with the primer now. So we've gone and we've bought a few weeks ago, we bought, so a lot of the times I'll just prime with the pressure pack primers, but we've gone and lashed out and we've bought a dedicated gun for primer, and we have bought some 2K beige primer. So we just got to work out the mix. So it's has hardener in it as well. So I'll work out the mix. I'll make a little bit of that up. I won't make too much, but we'll give this one coat to start with, and then I'll probably have a little look-ski, but we'll definitely probably give this area 2 or 3 coats, but we'll just see how we go. We bought a heap more sandpapers and all sorts of stuff. Okay, so we've got our lid off now. See the lump? One thing you want to do is really mix this up properly. Just do it by hand. You can shake it as much as you want. It won't really mix up this bottom lump. Now, primers are renowned for that, getting the lumpy bits. You can actually feel it in there. So we want to just sit there and mix this up. The better you mix it, the better it's going to flow. So this is a 4 to 1 mix. So it's 4 parts of the primer to 1 part of the hardener. And then you can also add 10 to 20% thinners, depending how thin or thick you want it. So generally, yeah, about 10% I sort of add to all of my stuff. So let's get this mixed up and in the pot. Right, so we've got our 4 to 1 here, and then coming down, we've got the 1, and we've gone to the 2 mark. So we want to take hardener to the 2 mark in the middle, and then add the 10%, as I said. Or it all depends how much you want. You could come up to 5 if you think you need that much, then hardener to that 5, then your 10%, or 6, and 10%. So this is all different amounts to mix up. So we've gone to 2. I don't actually know how much we will use, but because we have to add hardener, this can't be used, you know, this has a shelf life. I don't know if this will tell us. Probably not, but it will have like a maybe 6 or 8 hours max in the in a sealed container before it's stuffed. So basically you only want to mix what you're going to use then, and we can always come back and mix a little bit more, but we can't pour this back in, otherwise it will stuff the whole lot. So with that said, I'll get back to it. Okay, so we just gave that one quick coat. As you can see, it actually flowed out really, really nice. It's actually really nice, but definitely using more of that. We'll just keep an eye on this. There's a bit of a, you can see the edge there, so we'll just see. We'll let that all tack off now. It looks like there's a bit of crap happening in there too. Definitely something going on here. Some little reactions or nibs of dust. It's probably where I put it on a little bit thicker. So anyway, it is undercoat. We're going to sand it, and basically we got this guard down to bare metal, so we needed to seal it up basically. So anyway, we hardly used any of that. We've got at least 1 more coat's worth, so we will let that tack off for a while. I'm going to go put the dog back inside. I don't like him down here when I'm doing this sort of stuff, and we will give that another coat in a bit. And in the meantime, we might start messing with something else. Just give me a second. I'll get little mate out. Get him out of here. We don't want him smelling those fumes, do we? Come on, little boy. Okay, so this is some quality bad Chad bog work there we've got to fix up. So we've got to get this edge nice along here. We've got to get all this crap off the back. Right, come on. Then we've got to, I think we'll give this, I think we might be alright on this, as in we may just do this by hand, block this out with maybe some 320 or 400 by hand on the hand block, and we might just mask up a little area here and get some undercoat into this as well. So we'll just get some undercoat going out to like there. So we'll get some masking up. We'll try to get that done today as well, and then we'll have to 400 the whole door. We'll take the door handle off and everything, and 400 the whole door. But we want this from here basically primed. I think we'll try to do that today as well. So, as I was saying, the phone had a moment, the camera had a moment there. So yes, I'm very tempted to replace this door because of the edge he's done. Like, I don't know, this is the bad Chad door gap extraordinaire. So you end up with this sort of malarkey here. So instead of pulling the dent out properly, you just fill it with freaking filler. So anyway, I'm in two minds what to do with this. I may actually dig it all out and go again. I'm not quite sure. And just looking at this through, I can see a bit of a mark in there. So this has had a couple of coats of undercoat. The same. We'll have to putty prime it and just see. It looks like pretty wavy down there too for some reason. Maybe it's just shadowing. But yeah, on this edge, we're going to have to put a bit of filler in there. As you can see, it's got some weirdness and some pinholes and stuff, so we're going to have to fix that up. A few little pinholes up the top there as well. So yeah, we hit that with 80 grit, then we hit it with some 320 and scuffed the paint back. Like half the door's been all scuffed up, masked it up. See that masking tape? I don't know, masking tape and paper. There's I don't know, I think it's a new concept anyway. So yeah, we masked that up and, you know, like properly, and threw some undercoat. It's had a couple of, you know, probably 1-2 coats, so it's probably going to need some more, I'd say, but that's its first go. And then we will probably put a bit of guide coat and give that a sand, and we'll touch these bits up, and then we will just see where we're at with it, see what we think about it, and what I should do with that. Not that crack, but just see, you can see there it's fat, and it should be like that thickness, like that, and down here it is that thickness. So, and then see, it goes back down to being thin again. So that's a bit of progress. We are making some progress. We are getting somewhere. There's just so much rework that we're having to do, guys. It's like there's, I reckon, 5 to 10 times the amount of time is going to be reworking this stuff, and at the end of it, we're going to have all this other, you know. If I can give anyone some advice, okay, don't rush. Don't rush it. Just slow it up and do the job properly, hey? You know what I mean? Like I do the bumper bar. Yeah, you can mask it up. You're never gonna do it right. I'm telling you right now, you're never gonna be able to mask it up perfectly. So tear it apart, you know what I mean? Because the time to mask it and unmask it, and then fix all your overspray bits that you've got in it. Just tear it apart. You don't have to stress. Paint it, let it dry, put your grills back in. Ooh, it's beautiful. Like, knock the dent out properly. You know, instead of having this stupid gaps and bogging your door shut and like to try to get you. There was never anything wrong with the gaps. It was just a lot, like, I don't know. You'll learn from your mistakes, see, and I've just learnt from a big mistake of mine is just do it myself, hey. Oakley dokley, we have done a little bit off of the camera. So here's our front fender, which you guys seen, and it has now been, as you've seen, it was undercoated, yes, and it has now had some little bit of guide coat put on. So it's just a little bit of black or blue or whatever colour you want. Just mist a little bit on. You can actually buy a proper guide coat, but just put a little tiny thin misting. The thicker you put it on, the more you got to sand. So, and it's just to tell you where your highs and lows are. So for argument's sake, if you can see, just let me get out of the shadow. You can see that little tiny bit just there of blue. That's because we haven't sanded quite through there properly. So what we're getting at is this is all been sanded down 99%. It probably needs a minute or two spent just to tickle a few little pieces up, and as you can see, it is looking pretty smick. So there is a little tiny little bit of filler in there, very, very, very sparsely. Bit different than what it was, where it had half a kilo in it. We've come around here to the door, and as you can see now, we've got a beautiful repair done. Hey, that's a bit more like it, isn't it? So that is all dead straight and perfect, and that is also sanded down. We just got to sand this little edge, our masking edge, and we're up to about here on the door approximately. I want to take the door handle off, and we will use some 400 grit, wet and dry, to final sand the rest of the door. I'm considering probably going to take the door off to paint it, and the guard. We'll paint them both off the car to eliminate some spray, etc. So we've also gone onto the roof, and what we've done is we've gone and used some 800 sandpaper on the block this time and hand blocked it very sparingly because we've already sanded a bit on this roof. Then we've run around with 1,000, 1,500, and I think that's all we did, the 1,500 on the orbital, the sponge pads, and then gave it a one pass polish. It can probably have another pass of the polish, but as you can see with the peel, so if you actually look into the reflections from there to there, that's your best bet of looking for the peel now. As you can see, our shadow is a lot more like this, our reflection is, so it is much improved. It's still got a little wave, but it's pretty good. It's pretty good, guys. So we've just done, also we've done the bumper. As you can see, we completely tore the bumper down. Now, don't bother doing what this Pelican did and masking this crap up. Take it off, pull it down. That took me, I reckon, between 5 and 7 minutes that took me to tear that completely down, and it'll take me another, say, 5 or so minutes to rebuild it all. Now, in that, saying that, we then gone through and we ended up sanding it and polishing it. We needed to tear it down to get all the overspray off the part. See, if you were painting this way, you've now got that bumper completely torn down, and you can actually paint it properly without worrying about anything, i.e. he hasn't got paint in the headlight properly. You should be able to see the little variation in colour, and there's just a few little things like that. So you'll never get as good a job if you just mask it up, all right? Don't be a dodgy, yes, you know the word just do it properly, guys. Just do it properly, right? So we've got all our parts from the grill over here, and like, look at the overspray, look at it all. So we're going to have to go through and clean all that up. Like, look at this one here. Like, look at this. This is just freaking terrible. Luckily, I have that piece. We went and tore down one of the bumpers from the black Chrysler. So we had that bumper piece. We don't have these. Like, look at this. This is absolutely terrible. So we've got to try to clean them up. Then we'll rebuild the bumper. But bumper, we did the same. We sanded it with 800 by the block. Then we went to 15 and 2000 on here. And I have just marked that up when we were polishing. Ooh. Please come out. I don't know what I dropped on there, but as you can see, that little scratch we just put on it. So we'll stay live while I try to get it off. I think we'll get that off with the buff. We're just going to have to run the buff on there. But anyway, yeah, so as you can see now, the peel on that is pretty good. As you can see, there's a little bit of the factory. We didn't do that little piece there. We thought we'd get away with that. I don't know. I may actually do these because they're standing out to me badly now. We'll see. So we didn't do these faces, but we've done all of this face and all of the around there, and we've got the bumper looking passable at the moment. And I've decided not to run the headlight rings for two reasons. One, well, they have to be body worked up, etc. But with the slight color variation in the front, when that is on there, that gives us plastic the whole way around, all of this. So and because those are the same as this, yeah. So it's just emphasizing the little variation. See, at the moment you can't really see the variation. Well, all you can see is this is shiny and this is not, because we'll get to that. But when that's across there, it's a lot more of a line showing that variation. I think without them, we can pass the bumper color variation. So we're not going to run them. We're going to polish the headlights. You know, why wouldn't you polish them on before you use your Sellies No More gaps to stick the covers on? Wouldn't you polish the headlights? Anyway, that would be asking a bit too much, wouldn't it? So the bumper is passable, excuse me, and basically ready to be when our parts have oversprayed, reassembled. Headlights need to be sanded and polished. We have just ran the 800 on the orbital and then 800 by hand on the bonnet. There's a couple little tiny spots we still need to tickle up a little bit. Then we'll run over this with probably the sponge pads on the orbital and then polish the bonnet. And then we've got to do the same to this guard, but we will do the 800 by hand on the guard. We did this little piece here, but it's still a little bit wavy. So we want to run, so if you're wondering what I'm up to, is we're running the 800 grit on a hand block because one, it cuts it a bit sharper. I think what's happening is with the foam pads, they're taking the orange peel out, but they're also rippling into the orange peel a little bit. So that's why we're getting it dead flat, but we're still having some some peel when we polish. So that's probably because we just came in with 1,000 foam pad first, okay? So we're coming in with an 800, either in a block by hand or on an actual paper, 800 paper on the orbital. And then we'll go to the foam pad. That's why we have done that, just to explain. We'll then run onto the foam pads to do the other grades. You can all do it by hand if you want. I am, as you know, I have bad elbows, and you know, so I have to limit the amount of sanding that I'm doing. So oakley dokley, as you can see, it's nearly dark and raining and miserable day today. So we have just done the bonnet. So we 800 with the sandpaper on the orbital, then we did the 1500 and the 2000 with the foam pads on the orbital, and we did the edges with 800 by hand, and we didn't actually do them really hardly. Probably should have done them a bit better, but other than that, we've definitely got it nice and flat. And then we've gone and polished it up. We've given it 1 to 2 passes. It may, like I said with the roof, may need another pass with the polish once we've done the whole car, but we'll see what it's like when we get it outside. It's pretty hard to see in this light at the moment. So all through here, it's crisp as just along, just on the edges, probably like from say there to there, just like that inch through there. You can see a little bit of peel, and probably just a little bit along here. You can sort of see a little bit of peel, but not much. It's pretty good. And then the rest is all dead flat. So I think that's passable now. Looking under the light, when I'm seeing the light hit it, we're not really getting the reflections real good, but through here, if you look at that shadow of the light, it's pretty crisp, as opposed to, if you can see it on here, how mottled and distorted it is. So I think the bonnet is now salvageable. I haven't actually sussed this out, so we'll just close it. I know our gaps are all up the window there, but I think our colour there, like I've said, now that we're not going to run those headlight covers, we can get away with that. So we've still got the guard to do. We're going to take the bumper off before we do the guard. Now, something else is this. We took them out. That one there had been siliconed on and was actually destroyed and broken. Yay. And this one here was completely snapped in half underneath and no hose connected to it. So there's just something else, eh? Something else. Oh, and another one is we've got a ton of overspray on this black plastic over there. You can probably see it all there. See that there? Yes. So we've got to try to get that out of plastic, which is always really lots of fun. So hopefully maybe a Scotch-Brite can get that out. Really? Like, come on, really? Fun. So this is looking like it's going to be a good 2 weeks worth of work to get this up to my standard. All up, a good 2 weeks, I'd say. I'd say 60 to 80 hours I'm going to spend on this, bringing this back to the level I want on a job that realistically was, even if you said 3 days, if you're really say you said 20 hours. So yeah, we've gone from 60 to 80 hours from a 20-hour job. So yeah, yay. So any rate, with that said, little mate, he got a haircut this morning. I gave him a haircut, so he's very perky, aren't you? Yes. Say hello. Yeah, he's ready to go inside. So with that said, I will see you in the morning. Oakley, it is a miserable, wet, horrible day today. Anyway, we've done a little bit this morning. So we've got our new second-hand badge for the guard. So that's all masked up, been scuffed. As you can see, it's silver. So it is now ready to be painted white. And this, some more quality from our little mate. I spent about half hour getting the overspray off and trying to dig all the silicone and what have you through the gap, and then masked it up. Not that hard, obviously, guys, just not that hard. And then, so this was repaired, glued back on, repainted, and then was covered in overspray and paint splatches and all sorts of malarkey. In the end, I couldn't actually sand it. So I scraped it with the blade. So anyway, that's now ready for painting. The bumper is off, as you can see, ready to start rebuilding. Now the boss has come down and actually did a little bit today. So she's oversprayed all the grill. She's been down here for a couple of hours and did these 2 plastics. They're not bad. That's about as good as we're probably going to get them. I think we can probably start rebuilding the bumper now. We've sanded all the guard now and then polished up, and it's not bad on the peel. If you look in the shadow there, you still see a little bit distorted, so it still has a little bit of peel in it. But the over here has a little bit as well, but it's very close now to that. So we've still got a colour difference, as you can see. I don't think I can handle this. I think I'm alluding to maybe just doing a match and getting this colour matched and blending off on the door like I have said. We've also polished up the headlights now, so they're all beautiful. So we've basically got this kind of nearly all finished. we're having some issues, technical difficulties. So as I was saying, the overspray down the gap here, we had overspray here, we hit with the pressure cleaner and it removed it. So we tried to run the pressure cleaner through this gap to de-overspray that so that I could maybe get away with not pulling that guard. Well, that bit me in the bum, hence one of the steps backwards as we come to the guard here. And you can see that all through there, up onto the top corner up here. It blew the paint off. So obviously this was prepped really, really well, wasn't it, before painting for the pressure cleaner to just blow the paint off. So we now have to do some paint work on this guard 100%. We cannot get away with it. The plan is to scuff this down completely. We're not painting the whole guard. We'll just do a paint. I'll explain more in a minute and then we'll re-clear it, okay? That's the plan. Now, our bumper and our bonnet, we are pretty well happy with our colour at the moment. It is a touch off, but without running the headlight covers, it is passable, okay? Now, you're gonna have to bear with me. We're gonna have to jump around a little bit for you to get the whole picture. We've jumped on to our fully back to bare metal primered guard, and as you can see, it's pretty hard to tell, but we have done a bit of painting on here. So we've painted, basically trimmed it out, okay? But most of the trim out has only had like one sort of coat. But in this area just here, we've given it a few coats. Okay, our colour here is very close to our bonnet, okay, and our bumper. It's very, 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 very close. If not on the money, it is maybe half a shade. It is so close, it is not funny. Okay, so that's one of our colour test patches. So our colour that we've had mixed, our little pot, matches the bonnet, like I've said, if not on the money, very, very closely. Now we come to our door. Now we've done something similar to the door. We've done this back edge, and we've sort of trimmed it. We did a little bit on here, but it's not really thick enough here. Needs more. We've given that like one light little dust coat. Now the reason being is, if we zoom in onto this, as you can see, it fried up on this edge, which is his paintwork. Now this door, as you can see, we redid the bodywork and primed it, sanded it. And from there back, all of this has been done with 320 grit sandpaper, and we buzzed it down. You can even see we have burnt through in a few spots. So we've taken this down pretty good. We've got it completely flat. We got rid of all his peel. So we took it down a fair way. Now we didn't go through it all, we took it a fair way. But our new paint reacted. Now, it is very, very cold at the moment, and I possibly thinned the paint a little bit too much to try to get a bit more, because I wanted a few different patches around. So possibly I put a bit too much thinners in as well, and it is freezing cold. Shouldn't really be painting, but we have to attempt it, okay? But yesterday was like ice. So what that means is that the paint sits on the panel for too long, so the thinners that are in the paint are beetling into the underneath paint, okay, bedding into them. Instead of normally we paint on, it's so hot, the thinners just evaporate out of it, boom, and the thing dries. Whereas when it's cold, they sit, the paint stays wet, the thinners then work into the underneath paint. Now on a normal paint job that's done by someone decent, it wouldn't be an issue, okay? It will bed in, but you generally will not get reactions from it. But when you're dealing with someone that is a numpty who's painted the car, we're going to have issues. So what has happened is, like I said, you've got to bear with me. I have to jump around to explain what's going on. What I believe has happened is, if we go back to our guard, when we sanded up our guard, and if you were watching, at the start it was okay. We were just buzzing through and it was okay. But as soon as we got through basically the top layer, it all went haywire and it was like jelly underneath, kind of. It was clogging up the thing, and that's why we stripped it all back to bare metal, because we couldn't actually sand. As soon as we took the top off, we couldn't get it to where we wanted it, and the bottom, it is like it hadn't gone off. And I thought maybe he hadn't put hardener, but now thinking about it after doing this, what has happened is, when he's painted his base coat, he's painted it, 1, too cold, too cold of conditions. 2, he's painted it way too heavy, so too thick. 3, he hasn't let it flash off long enough between coats, so he's rushing. Okay, so instead of, in temperature like this, it may take an hour or 2 hours for it to flash off properly when it is so cold. Like, you shouldn't even be painting in these temperatures. Your panel should be 25 degrees Celsius to paint, okay? When it's 15, 18 degrees, or you're painting at night time when it is cold, your panel isn't even at the right temperature. But there are ways you can get around this, okay? But when you paint it too heavy and then you don't let it flash off properly, so basically between coats, you can come in and touch this. You should be able to use your tack cloth to tack it, to wipe it down. You should basically be able to even do a little tiny little sand, very gingerly, mind you, to take a bit of trash or something out if you had to. Between coats, you should be able to do that. If you can't do that, then you shouldn't be painting it yet, the next coat. So obviously he's painted his next coat too soon, again, too heavy. So we don't know how many coats he's put on, but the paint on that guard was very, very thick. So he's put multiple, 2, maybe 3 base coats down. Now, none of that base, each time you throw another layer on, the stuff underneath basically gets sealed over and then struggles to dry out, okay? It can be dried out with infrared lights, okay? But they're about $1,000 and I can't afford them and not many people could. So, any rate, that's a bit off topic. Then what's happened is he's painted his clear over the top of his wet base that hasn't set properly. Again, rushing, and the clear has hardener in it, so the clear will set off and go hard. Yes, it is on the top, but everything underneath it is like jelly. Okay, so it's like building a skyscraper on a foundation made out of sand. It ain't gonna freaking ever work. So what's happened is, on our guard, that's why we were good sanding at the start, but as soon as we busted through the clear and got into the base, it was jelly. So something similar has happened here. This is probably not quite as thick as the guard was, and we buzzed through the clear and we're into this, and it's not quite jelly, but I still don't think it is hard. It's due to what's underneath, but it's also, I think I can rectify it if I change my gun setting to run a bit higher air pressure and we go very light, like really, really dust it on, let it set off, come back half hour, an hour later, dust a bit more on, and we just slowly build this panel up, very slowly. I think we can avoid the fry-ups. Now, if we can't, if it fries again on us, we are going to have to, we'll have three choices. One is to buzz it down a bit more, stick the panel out in the sun for a couple of days to try to get it to fully cure in there, is one option. Two option is to buzz it back, primer the whole door, and cross fingers. And option 3 is strip it back to bare metal and start afresh. Or option 4 is to throw the door in the freaking bin and go and get another one and start it from scratch. So that's our options on the door. So hopefully by tweaking my method of painting it, I can rectify this. So that's part 1 of our dilemma. So on our guard, we had no issues with our freshly primed guard of anything frying up, okay? Now you've seen we've got this off, we have to paint this, and what I have seen by pulling this off is this guard was actually a black guard. I don't know if it was a factory black or just a replacement aftermarket, but it is black under there, and there's a little chip of the paint just there. You can see it's black, and I found another little remnants here of some paint that flaked when I was pulling it off. So this was a black guard, and there was another spot there. So something went on there. This car was obviously in some kind of an accident. So this is when you break these cars down, the truth of them is revealed, isn't it? So we all thought that guard was originally factory colour, factory paint. We now know that it was not. So is that door? Is that door a touch-up guard as well? Like, could this be half of our dilemma with all of our colour variations that we are experiencing? So, any rate, what we did yesterday is, after our test, and we were happy with this colour, which isn't cleared by the way, this is just base, but it is very close to our colour. When we're happy with that colour to our bonnet and bumper, we have gone and got a litre of that colour mix, okay? What the plan is, this is going to be, we're going to see some skills here, guys. This is what should have happened in the first place, but, well, no, because we shouldn't even be having to paint the whole thing. But anyway, I'm going to show you some stuff, right? We're going to paint this guard solely in our new mixed colour, which should match our bonnet. So this edge along here should match into our bonnet perfectly, all hunky-dory. So we're all the new colour, right? Which is, like I said, bonnet and bumper colour. This door, we are going to do the same. We are going to paint the whole door in our new colour, okay? Oh, wait up. We're going to have a discrepancy here, aren't we? Because our new colour is slightly different to the rear door. Well, I'm glad you pointed that out, but stay with me. On this guard, this colour is the same as the bonnet, yes? So we're not going to paint this, we're just going to re-clear it. Now, obviously, our door here is a slightly different colour, as you can see on our guard. Boom, boom, there's our two different colours. So, what the plan is, out of our litre of paint, I'm going to pull 50 to 100 mil of that paint to the side, okay? I'm going to put that in a separate little jar. Now, in this paint, it is, in 1 litre, there is 1,030 grams of white paint. There is a yellow ochre colour in it. I think there's a tiny little reddish colour in it as well from memory. And there is about 25 grams of reduced black. Hence why we are seeing this difference here, where that actually looks a little bit greyer. I hope your eyes can pick that colour looks a bit greyer, which is like our door looks a little bit greyer, which is what I've been saying for days. So the plan is, in our 100 mils of paint that we pull aside, is I'm going to slowly introduce a tiniest little bit more of reduced black from our paint system. Okay, so I'll get like a skewer, kebab skewer, or a paddle pop stick or something. I'll just dip it a little bit into the black, and just dap it into our 100 mil. Mix it up and just put the tiniest, like we're not talking a lot, it's not going to need a lot to change this colour, okay? So we're just going to slowly do a little bit, test it, a little bit more, test it, a little bit more, test it, until we get that shade, okay? As you can see from there, that greyish shade. Once we match that grey shade perfectly with our little 100 ml of paint, we will then come to this guard that is now all prepped for paint. Well, it will be by then. And we will do a little tiny blend along this edge, feathering it out. And we will do this corner here that goes up into the pillar. We'll get that. We'll fix our little stuff up here. And we will stop our blend through this section. So we'll just get feathered off there. Just that little corner like that. And feathered off here. Okay? So now we'll pick this grey to creamish is what we'll call it, the cream colour, the grey colour. Now we'll pick that transition, just be blended out, flip, 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 and by blending it is solid sort of paint along this edge and blending off. And it gets thinner, and then so they just melt together, okay? Now, with a bit of skill in the blend, you'll never ever pick it, okay? It will take a very trained eye to pick that blend off, okay? Then what we will do is we will re-clear this guard. Then that will do is we will have our perfect colour match onto our bonnet, and we will have a perfect, as long as we get our mix perfect, we will have a perfect colour match onto our door, which will eliminate our paint colour issues on this side. Now then we will come to this door over here that we've just finished our final coat of base coat on in our new colour. We will then get our grey mix, and we'll do the same here. We'll do a blend off on this side. We'll blend it out like that. So then this will now match our rear door, and it will blend into our colour. That way we're not having to paint anything else on the car, and all of our colours should match up. So that is what my plan is. And then once we've got our blends, then we'll come through and clear these three parts. Then I think what we'll probably do is any trash, or we'll see how good. We'll actually get to see how good my off-the-gun finish will be, but we will probably, as the other paint has been paint corrected, we'll give it a light little paint correction. Now you can do that when the paint is fairly fresh if you are very delicate. Okay, so we'll probably just use 2000. Generally that's all we'll need with fresh paint and not a lot of peel, fingers crossed. Quick little polish up. Okay, so we started to sand a bit on this door, Rooney, and as you can see, we've got some patches everywhere because, why? Because it started doing the same thing. It started melting as soon as I would go through a little bit. We had some issues in some spots that we had to burn down. Now the rest of it, we actually went and got the 180 grit and we 180'd it, and we had a couple of other little spots around the place, as you can see. Another one here. There's a little bit through here we've got, and a couple up here. So you still need, and a bit up the top there. Basically we'd come along, we'd be 180ing, and then all of a sudden, bang, it would just rip a piece out of here, for argument's sake. And then we'd go in and sand on that and it would rip a heap more of it out. And then we'd have to work that area nicely. So the rest of this is pretty good. So it's like there was there's bits that didn't cure or something, more so than others. And there is so many layers of paint. If we come and look at this, I'll try to get out of the, hopefully you can see the multiple layers of paint that is in there. There is, like, seriously, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's at least 10, I think, layers of paint in there. So we seem to have got rid of most of the jelly out of it now. Fingers crossed. I'm still very scared of this door. I honestly believe, I'm going to say it now, if I can pull this door off at the moment, if I can get it to work and not react, I will be highly surprised. Okay, I think we're going to have more issues with this. Anyway, so we've gone to the guard now, and this was our burn through we got when you can see that, which I wasn't too concerned, and there's a little baby one just there. I wasn't too concerned about that. It was very hard to spot, and it sort of also made it look like the paint wasn't brand spanking new. Now we'll probably give that a little touch up, and the same here, a little and we've blended out our little bit up the top here. So we've given that a little blend off with the sander. Then we've gone through with the Scotch Brite. If you're wondering what I'm talking about, the Scotch Brite, the green scotchy pad, you buy them from the paint supply shop. They're about an equivalent to about a 400 grit sandpaper. But they're much easier to use and probably give you a better job when it comes to just scuffing paint. For those of you that don't know, when you paint something, you need to scuff up the paint underneath and, you know, rough it up a little bit so the new paint sticks, okay? That's why you don't just paint over fresh paint. And plus, we'd polish this as well, so we had to get the polish out. So as you can see, it's not shiny anymore, it's very matte. So that's all been Scotch Brited up and is ready. It just needs to be wax and grease removed down. We've taped up our badge, same, wax and grease remove this. And we gave a little bit of this in a few areas, a little Scotch Brite as well. Same, wax and grease, remove that. We've got our 2 pieces here that we did the other day ready for painting. So we're basically pretty much there. What we want to do is, I think, we've got to get rid of little mate because he can't stay down here when we paint. We've got the shed door closed. It's still very cold down here. I think what we'll do though is I think we will run the hose through the floor, which is what I did yesterday. We'll hose out the floor to eliminate dust and trash. So we'll do that. Cross our fingers and we'll give it a little light coat. Like I said, it is freezing cold today again, but the temperature isn't improving. We have wax and grease removed all the parts. We've set up our water trap, a new water trap. I think I'll still set a rag around the hose because I reckon there's still some water in that hose that we want to not have come through as yet because we've been using it this morning. As you well know, we're just tack clothing the panel now. Now what I do with my tack cloth is I get a new one and I open it all up and then just scrunch it up like a scrunchie and just rotate it every now and then. Give it a good wipe over with that. We'll do this between every coat. So our paint's mixed and in the gun, ready to go. Now remembering, this is just a little dust coat. I do have to go out soon, so we're not going to finish today. We'll just try to get at least one coat, maybe one real light one. We'll see if we can get another one on top of that. I want to get that done today in case this door reacts. So, that said, let's get our mask on and let's start painting. Okay, we are having some serious issues. Our guard, beautiful, yeah. So far so good. It's all looking good. It's just had a layer down, so it's a little bit peely, but it will flatten out because it's base coat. Probably needs, I don't know, it's probably good enough. Could maybe give it one more coat if we want, but that's probably on the money there. This fender over here, I was thinking it was working pretty good. This little area here, we did that sort of worked okay. Same with this one. But up in here, as you can see, we're getting a fry up. It's absolutely doing my head in. So that there's going to have to be sanded back down. And we're going to have to attack that again. The door, the same. I thought we were making some progress and slowly getting it. But it started to fry. So I've tried just sitting it back with the gun up really high and just dusting to see if I could get rid of it. But you can see here, it's got a bad one. This is on the edge of our primer. So that's fried up really bad there. That's going to have to be sanded all along that edge there. It's fried up. Oh, this is just doing my head in, eh? It's bad. It's everywhere. There's some crap in it we've got to get out, but there's fry ups through here. There's one there, a wicked one, all along that edge. I don't know. All along here. So basically the door, from the looks of it, we have to sand it all. We're probably... Well, it's more and more wasting a product, yeah? We either sand it all, take it back to bare metal, bite the bullet, primer it. Or we give it another sand and try to primer it, and hopefully the primer doesn't fry up. It's so disappointing, this is. So, all I can think, I don't know, I actually don't know. It's got nothing to do with the weather or any of that now. As in, I've painted that like really good. And as you can see on there, we got no issues. So, it's all to do with this fucking Pelican's shit workmanship, and it's just given us grief, eh? Like this, you know, we're good on our sand through here, his paint, bang, it fucks up and fries. The same on the door. I'm really disappointed. Like, I thought we were starting to make some fucking progress. And we're gone, like I said, one step forward, two steps back. So the one step forward is we got one guard half painted. We still haven't cleared it, but yeah, we've got to now rework these for the fucking 20th freaking time. So apologise for swearing, but I'm so fucked off. It is like ridiculous. This is pissing me off. Like weeks now I've been working on this piece of shit fucking car that this fuckwit fucked up. So yeah, from there it looks okay, but yeah, when you get close it is absolute shit. So there's no, and I put that on so thin, let it dry, I could touch it, I could do anything, let it thin again, like just the dusting on, just slowly built them up. Before I touched it again, before I painted, I could touch it and push it, and it was all good. And then just dusted a bit more on, and it fucking fried up on me again. So I don't know. I may just go buy another door. I may go buy the other door. Yep. I may go buy the other door, and we'll just try to fix this corner of this guard. We need to now do this before we clear anything, because if I go buy another door, I'll probably have to do my colour adjustment here on this guard. Anyway, I've had a gutful, I'm going inside. Do apologise for swearing, I'm not editing it out, because you guys need to see, you actually need to see how upset and stressful this fucking car is making me now. All because some piece of shit fucking tradesman that is like not a tradesman's arsehole does this shoddy workmanship. Like, this is absolutely freaking atrocious. You've seen the first video. I don't know. I'm not painting the whole car. I know a couple of you have said to just paint the whole freaking car, and maybe I should have, who knows. But, like, look what we would have had to do. All of this had to go to bare metal. You know what I mean? the only option would have been to go buy new panels and repaint the car. Like, nah, I ain't doing that shit. It's a car I'm selling. I'm not keeping the fucking thing. Hey, if we knew this, we would have never touched it. We would have either fixed it ourselves or just left it alone. I've been offered $18,000 for the car before I fucking touched it. With the damage to it, I was offered 18 grand cash with it unregistered everything, and I said no, I'll get it fixed and I'll get 25. Who's a wanker? Hey, I should have just taken the 18 grand and ran. Anyway, maybe I'll see you tomorrow. I don't know. I don't even know if I'm going to touch it. I need to walk away from it again, I think. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. All right. Well, we're going to leave it. We're going to get too long. We're not going to get it finished in this episode. I was trying to, guys, but there's no way known we're going to pull it off. There's so much happening with this thing and so much biting me in the butt. So, as you can see, I've actually recorded this ending a bit further down the track than where you were. Because, yeah, we're not going to finish it. Anyway, we are getting some progress. It's kicking our ass, as you can see. But we are slowly progressing. I'm not quite sure where you guys are going to be up to. But, hey, what a shit fight. Anyway, hopefully with the next one, I'm not as stressed. I am seeing light at the end of the tunnel where I am now. You're probably not seeing it where yous are, but it is going to happen. We will get it fixed. And with all that said, I will say thank you guys for watching. Come back for part 3 next week to see if we pull this off. And until then, I'll see you next week.
Swagger down the street with your red lips and funky beat. You better hold your head up to the sky. I'm gonna roll with you till the day I die.